Hey, if you clicked on this video, I assume that you like Gurenge and that you want to learn Japanese, or maybe you thought I was cute. Whatever. Anyway, I'm going to teach you Japanese based off of this really cool anime song, Gurenge. I haven't seen the anime series, to be honest, confession, but this theme song is so cool and it's really popular. Maybe I'll check it out. So let's just jump into it. So, 強くなれる. Tsuyoku is the adverb version of tsuyoi, which is strong, so strongly. Nareru is to become. So, 強くなれる is to be able to become strong. Nareru is just to become, and then nareru is the ability to become strong. Riyuu is reason. So the reason that I can become strong, or the reason that a person can become strong, pronouns. Who needs them? Wo, so some verb is going to happen to this block here, the ability, the reason I can become strong. Wo shitta, so shitta is our verb, the past tense of shiru, to know, so knew. So 強くなれる理由を知った is learned or know now, the reason that I can become strong. Boku. So we finally have a pronoun. Yay! So you can think of this whole 強くなれる理由を知った as an adjective for boku. So we're describing me, boku, as I know, I learned, the reason that I can become strong. O, we have another O. So this whole concept of me, who now knows how the reason why I can become strong, a verb is going to happen to that me who knows all of that stuff. Tsurete, susume. So this is two verbs together. We're connecting them together with the te form of the first verb. And then susume, that's the imperative form of susumeru, or it is the verb stem. We don't actually know technically, but I'm assuming it is sort of the imperative, like, let's do this thing, because then, like, the music is all da 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 da. So I'm just assuming it's more like a, yeah, let's do this thing. So tsurete susume. Tsurete is the te form of, tsurete is to take someone with you usually, and then susume is to move on, to march on, to proceed. So I'm a translator, by the way, and when one translates or localizes entertainment, art, things like song lyrics, it's not a good idea generally to be too literal. You wouldn't think that this is the case. It's a little counterintuitive. You'd think, oh, the more literal you are, the closer to the meaning you are, but that's actually not true because of the way language and culture work. So translated into English that makes sense, that whole thought is, now that I know how I can become strong, take me with you. Notice that there was no literal you in that original sentence, but if you're commanding someone to take you, like, I have to be talking to someone else, and like, in order to command them to take me somewhere. So the you is very, very deeply implied in there, and that's why I have a you in there. Doro-darake is, like darake, anything darake is that thing with a lot. So doro-darake is like a lot of mud, covered in dirt. Kizu-darake would be like covered in wounds or scars. So anything darake is like covered in that thing. So doro-darake is like covered in dirt, covered in mud. No, so this no is turning the covered in mud concept into an adjective. It's turning it into a describing word for the next word, which is soumatou. So soumatou is, it's a complicated concept. It's kind of like a kaleidoscope of flashbacks. It's like literally a running horse lantern. So that visual should kind of give you, yeah, it's like a kaleidoscope, and it's kind of like a flashing kaleidoscope of memories and images. So flashback is also a translation of that. Ni you. So you is to become drunk or intoxicated. So soumatou ni you is like to be drunk, intoxicated by or in the kaleidoscope of flashbacks that are covered in mud. Doro-darake. Kowabaru kokoro. So kokoro is your heart, mind, or soul. Kowabaru is to stiffen or kind of sulk, And since that verb is coming right before kokoro, it's modifying kokoro, so sulking, stiffening heart. So that whole line, my heart is hardened, drunk on the muddy scenes flashing before it. Furueru te wa, so wa as for. Furueru is shaking. And once again, this verb is coming right before a noun, so it's modifying that noun that comes right after it, which is te, hand. So furueru te, my shaking hands. Wa, as for my shaking hands. Tsukamitai mono ga aru. So tsukamitai means want to grasp onto. Mono is thing. So tsukamitai mono is thing that I want to grasp onto. Ga aru, so there is a thing that I want to grasp onto. Sore dake sa. So sore dake sa is a phrase. It comes up a lot. Sore dake means only that. And then sa is this sort of well, that's how it is, sort of ending to this sentence, and that is actually what this phrase means. Like, that's all there is to it. That's all there is. So that whole line, translated into English, my shaking hands are desperate for something to cling on to. That's all. Yoru no niyoi, the smell of the night. Ni, sora nirandemo. So sora nirandemo means even if I look up at, glare up at the sky. So sort of yoru no niyoi ni would be sort of like guided by the smell of the night. It's kind of like the smell of the night is what is compelling you to then look up at the sky. So I could look up at the sky guided by the night's smells. Kawatte ikeru no wa, so kawatte iku means kawatte is like to change. And then if you add the iku, if you add an iku to the end of a te form of a verb, it means that that verb is like going away from the speaker. And if you add a kuru to the end of the te form of a verb, it means it's coming to the speaker. So kawatte iku is like to change, and it's kind of like going away from me. So it's like I'm the one that is, you know, changing. If it's kawatte kuru, it's like something is changing to me, but I am changing into something else. So kawatte iku would be like to change, continue to change, but it's ikeru, so that means can change. Kawatte ikeru no wa jibun jishin dake. So jibun jishin is me, myself, and I. Dake is only. So only me, myself, and I can change myself. Sore dake sa. That's all. But I'm the only one who has the power to change myself. That's all. And then we repeat that Tsuyoku nareru riyuu line and into our chorus. Doushitatte. So this is another phrase. It just means like no matter what you do, or it doesn't matter what you do, or it doesn't matter what we do. Kesenai yume. So kesenai is cannot be extinguished, and then again that verb is coming right before a noun, so it's modifying that noun. So the dream that cannot be extinguished, mo, so also, so this dream that cannot be extinguished and something else. And that something else is tomarenai ima. And again, we're modifying a noun with a verb. Tomarenai is cannot stop. Ima is now or the present, so the present, the now that cannot be stopped. So the dreams that cannot be extinguished and the present now that cannot be stopped, mo also. Dreams that won't vanish, realities that won't stop. So I changed ima to reality just because like nows that won't stop, the presents that won't stop. It just sounds weird in English and it's a little confusing because present usually means like gifts. So I just changed it to reality. Like now is reality, what is actually really happening now. Dareka no tameni, so for the sake of someone. Tsuyoku nareru. So we already learned what tsuyoku nareru is, the ability to become strong. Nara means if, blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to follow it up with a then, blah, blah, blah. So nara basically turns things into an if-then statement. So if it gives me the ability to become stronger for the sake of someone. So I changed that to if these things can make me stronger for someone I care about. I added the someone I care about. I extended that a little bit just to give it a little more weight and to raise the stakes a little bit. Arigatou kanashimi yo. So arigato, thanks. Kanashimi is sadness. And then if you add a yo to the end of a noun, oftentimes it's a little tricky because if it's at the end of the sentence, it's usually like, I assure you that this statement is true. It's usually like an exclamation point. But in some cases, you use a yo to address someone, like, dear boy, oh God, something like that. So kanashimi yo, the yo in this case is you're addressing sadness. Oh, sadness, thank you. It's that sort of feeling to it. 世界に, so sekai is the world, 打ちのめされて, so this is all passive tensey. 打ちのめされて is to be knocked around, roughed up. So 世界に打ちのめされて is to be beat up, knocked around by the world. 負ける意味をした. Makeru is to lose, and then imi is a noun, which is the meaning. So again, this song has a lot of modifying nouns with verbs. So if you want to really grasp that concept, this song is good for that. So makeru imi, the reason, not the reason, the meaning in losing, or the meaning of loss. But note that this losing is not like to lose something, but to lose a battle. It's that kind of lose. Imi o shita, so again, this shita, learned, know, became aware of. You know the meaning of losing hope, losing faith, losing the battle, losing the fight by being beaten up by the world is kind of what that whole thing literally means. I translated it to clean it up a little bit as you know what it's like to get knocked down and defeated by the world. Same meaning, just cleaner, reads a little better in English. And again, I'm addressing it to a you. It's pretty clear in this song she's singing to the gurenge, which we're going to get to in the very next lines. That's why I'm adding you pronouns in here, even though there really aren't any in the Japanese. So the very next line, guren no hana yo. So this yo again, we're addressing the guren no hana. And guren no hana, if you take out the no in there, it becomes gurenge, which is the red lotus, which is what this song is, the title of the song. But in this case, they're adding the no in there. It's kind of a poetic thing. It's like, instead of saying the red rose, the rose of red. So, guren no hana yo. Like, oh, you flower of red lotus. It's that sort of like poetry a little bit. Saki-hokore. So saki-hokoru, this is what I like to call a super verb. It's a verb stem followed by another verb, and those two verbs go together in tandem to become like I call it a super verb because it's super. So saku, which is what saki is to bloom. And then hokore is the imperative form of hokoru, which is to be proud. So saki-hokoru would be like to bloom proudly, basically. So saki-hokore, she's like commanding, guren no hana yo, oh, you flower of red lotus, bloom proudly. That's what that whole thing means. Unme o terashite, so unme is fate, and then terashite is, terasu is to illuminate. So terashite, again, she's commanding, she's beseeching, oh, flower of red lotus, bloom proudly and illuminate fate, or illuminate my destiny, or illuminate my fate, or whatever. So I translated that as, oh, flaming red lotus. I added the flaming in there because I think it had that little, you're strong, you're fire, lotus. That's kind of the imagery we're getting from this song so far, so I added the flaming. Oh, flaming red lotus, bloom proudly and show me my destiny. Inabikari no zatsuon. So inabikari is like thunder and lightning. Zatsuon is like the very loud noises, and it's like loud and complicated noises. If you look at the kanji zatsu, it's like loud, jumbled, complicated noises. Ga, mimi wo sasu. So mimi o sasu is like a phrase like to pierce, not to pierce your ears like cosmetically, but to like, sasu is like to pierce or to thrust. So it's like pounding at your ears, the sounds of the thunder and lightning. Tomadou kokoro. Again, it's another noun being modified with a verb. How do you like that? So tomadou is to falter, to be lost, that sort of verb. And then kokoro, your heart, mind, or soul. So I translated that as my heart feels conflicted. I just moved that tomadou kokoro part to the very beginning because it makes more sense in English. My heart feels conflicted, hit by the lightning's deafening crashes. I expressed that zatsuon as deafening crashes because I think that really expresses that imagery better than just loud noises. Yasashi dake ja. So this is a very common phrase. So yasashi is kind and gentle. Dake ja means like only. And then if you say ja and then you follow it up with like a negative form of a verb or something, then it's like, well, with nothing but kindness, you can't blah blah blah. Or it takes more than just kindness to blah 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 blah. We're gonna learn what the blah 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 part is right now. Mamorenai mono ga aru? Question mark. So this is a question. Mamorenai mono is a thing that cannot be protected. Ga aru. So is there, does there exist, is there a thing or things that cannot be protected with just kindness? Is like, with some things, does it take more than kindness to protect some things, is kind of what that sentence is asking. Wakatteru kedo. So wakatteru means I know or I understand, and kedo is like but. So I know the answer, but still. That's kind of what this sentiment is. So I translated that as, do some things need more than kindness to be saved? I already know the answer, but still, ... Suimen-ka de karamaru. So suimen-ka, if you look at that kanji compound, it's actually some pretty basic level kanji. So you might be able to guess what that word means already just by looking at the kanji. So sui means water, men means face, and then ka means beneath. So water, face, beneath. What does that mean? Beneath the water's surface is what that means. So this is the location. Beneath the water's surface is the location where a verb is going to take place. And this verb is karamaru, which is to get tangled. So tangled beneath the water's surface. Zen aku, again, if you know kanji and you look at the kanji, zen is good and aku is evil. So good and evil. So the good and evil that are tangled beneath the water's surface. Tsukete mieru. That's another expression from the song Moon Revenge. It's in Sailor Mars's verse. Okay, like 2 people are gonna get that reference. Anyway, tsukete mieru. Tsukeru is to be like transparent, like to sort of see it and sort of not see it. So tsukete mieru is to appear transparently, like you can see it, but it's sort of transparent. So tsukete mieru, gizen ni tenbatsu. So gizen is hypocrisy, and tenbatsu is like divine punishment or karma, basically. So the divine punishment and the karma are like, you can see them, but not very clearly. And so I translated that into English as, good and evil are tangled beneath the water's surface. Karma will punish the faintly visible hypocrisies within. So I added the within there just to make it a little clearer that, okay, yeah, the hypocrisies that are kind of hard to see, they're beneath this water's surface, so they're within, they're under the lake. And looking at the imagery of just this whole song and the lotus, if you don't know, lotus, they grow like in marshy pond things. They're growing under there and in this murky area with a bunch of tangled weeds and plants, and then they finally come out of the water, on the water's surface. So there's metaphors in there as well. Itsuzaino is outstanding or like naturally gifted at something, like you didn't have to try hard, you just are outstanding and wonderful and gifted. And this no is turning that into an adjective. So itsuzaino hana, flower. So itsuzaino hana, a flower that's like already, a really beautiful flower. It didn't have to burst through this marshy, gross pond to bloom. Yori, so the yori means rather than, so or instead of, rather than a flower that's naturally, beautiful. idomi-tsuzuke-saita. This is like a triple superverb. I'm loving it. So idomi is the stem of idomu, which is to challenge. And then suzuke is the stem of suzukeru, which is to continue. So challenge, continue. Saita, past tense of bloom. So bloomed from continuing to struggle and challenge and fight. That's what that whole superverb means right there. Ichirin is, so rin is like a counter for flowers. Yay, counters in Japanese. So ichirin is one bloom. Ga utsukushi. So that one bloom that bloomed after continuing to struggle and fight is beautiful. More beautiful than a flower that is naturally beautiful and gifted and didn't need to, struggle through beneath the water surface to bloom. And I translated that as a lone bud who's fought hard to bloom is far more beautiful than a pampered flower. Rambo ni, the ni is changing rambo into an adverb. So rambo is violent, rough. So violently, roughly. Shikitsumerareta is paved. That whole verb, paved. So roughly paved, violently paved, haphazardly paved, just without any care or finesse. Paved. Toge-darake. So remember darake from earlier? Doro-darake, toge-darake. So covered in. Darake, toge is thorns, so covered in thorns. So toge-darake no, so we're turning this toge-darake concept into an adjective, a describing word for the next noun, which is michi, which is a road or a path. So a path that is paved haphazardly, roughly, violently in nothing but thorns, or covered in thorns. Honki no boku dake ni arawareru kara. So honki no boku is the real me. Dake, so only the real me. Ni arawareru, to appear, and not to appear as in to seem, but to appear as in to poof, to make an appearance, to come out. So only comes out or makes an appearance in front of the real me, the true me. Kara, so because or since this thing only makes its appearance to the real me. Norikoete miseru yo. So norikoeru is to overcome something, overcome a hardship, an obstacle. And then norikoete miseru, when you add miseru to the end of a te form of a verb, it means I will. As God is my witness, I will show you. That's kind of what miseru literally means. But yeah, it is kind of I will show you all, I will show everyone, I will show the world, I will show myself, I will prove that I can overcome it. And the yo at the end of this sentence is not the oh or the dear meaning of the yo from earlier, but this yo is the exclamation point, I assure you, God is my witness, I'm gonna do this thing. So these two lines together, it's kind of hard to translate them separately because they are one big complete thought. So combined with the line from the last line, the last part of this chorus, I translated that whole thing as even paths roughly paved with thorns will only appear to me when I'm earnest and up to the challenge of breaking through. So note how long that was, but it's you can't quite break that up very easily without doing a lot of rewriting. So that's what those two whole lines all together mean. Kantan ni katatsugerareta. So kantan ni, again, this ni is changing kantan into an adverb. So it's instead of easy, it's easily. Kantan ni katatsugerareta is the passive tense of katatsukeru, which is to clean. So katatsugerareta is was cleaned up, tidied up. So easily was tidied up, was easily tidied up. Mamorenakatta yume mo. So mamorenakatta is was not able to protect. Yume, dream. So dreams that were not dreams that I was or someone was unable to protect. Guren no shinzo ni. So guren, again, we got the red lotus. Shinzo is heart, so the heart of the red lotus. Ni neo hayashi, so neo hayashi is to take root. この地に宿ってる. So 宿ってる is like is housed in or is lodged in or resides in. この地に is literally this blood, but この in this case means my, the speaker's blood. So it is in my blood, basically. So the translation of those two lines together, because it's a whole complete statement, is even my difficult dreams that I couldn't save will take root in the Red Lotus's heart and in my blood. So hitoshirezu, it's like it literally means unbeknownst to people, sort of, but it really just means invisible. Hakanai is sort of short-lived, ephemeral. Chiriyuku is like scattering, and again, this iku ending to an adjective, it means that the adjective is going away from the speaker, so chiriyuku, scattering away. Ketsumatsu is like an end. I translated that into English as everyone's end is invisible, ephemeral as it scatters to the ground. And the reason why I used everyone in there will come clear at the very, very last line of this stanza. Mujou ni, so again the ni is changing it into an adverb. Mujou ni means ruthlessly, mercilessly. Yabu reta means ripped up, torn apart. Hime is screams. No kazefuku, so kazefuku is like blowing wind, wind blows. So in English, ruthlessly torn apart, our screams are carried on the wind. Dareka no warau kage, dareka no nakigoe. So dareka is someone, no possessive, so someone's. Warau kage, so silhouette or shadow is kage. Warau kage would be like laughing or smiling, silhouette or shadow. Yay, words that have ambiguous and multiple meanings. And then nakigoe is, koe is voice, naki is cry, so nakigoe is crying voice, or just like crying, basically. So someone's laughing silhouette, someone's crying voice. I translated that into shadows of laughing people, voices of sobbing people. Just, I don't know, it just kind of sounds a little bit better. And then the very last line that ties it all together and explains why I used the word everyone in the first translation is daremo ga. All right, so that is every single one, every single person, everyone, anyone. That's what daremo ga means. So we know we're talking about everyone now, now that we're at the end of the stanza. Daremo ga shiawase o negatteru. So shiawase is prosperity, good fortune, happy. Is every single one of us is praying for happiness. And that was it. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial and learned a little bit about Japanese and translation from it. And now you know in intimate detail what everything about this song means. And if you want like a full write-up of the lyrics in Japanese and my translation, they're in the video description below. If you want to see more videos like this, I got a Sing Study playlist. And also if you are on my $5 tier of my Patreon, you get to vote on which songs that I do videos like this, and also I send out monthly basically written versions of what I just did of a song that everyone in that group votes on as well. And thank you to all of the patrons on that level and in all the other levels who support this channel. Anyway, bye!